Radio.
So today we're looking at Tucker Carlson, who has aggressively questioned
Radio.
Pence. Okay, so apparently there was an interview where he was not very happy, and I guess he did his job. I don't think a lot of people expected him to, but nonetheless, this is exactly what happened. So, former Fox News host Tucker Carlson aggressively pressed former Vice President Mike Pence on Friday about how he'd characterized the events of January 6, 2021, when a large mob invaded the Capitol and forced the evacuation of the lawmakers and interrupted the counting of the electoral votes in the 2020 election. The questioning by Carlson, who described the events of January 6th as, quote, mostly peaceful chaos, while at Fox News underscored how Pence's break with the former president that day will be a defining feature of his campaign. Now, many of Trump's supporters have never forgiven Pence, who was hung in effigy that day, as the article states, for his actions on January 6th, and it is a major problem in his quest for the presidency. Carlson opened his questioning of Pence by asking if the former vice president thought the attack on the Capitol was a quote unquote insurrection. Here's an answer, quote, all I know for sure, having lived through it at the Capitol, is that it was a tragic day, Pence said at a family leader, at a family leader event in Des Moines, Iowa. Well, he continues with, I've never used the word insurrection, Tucker, over the past 2 years, but it was a riot that took place at the Capitol that day, close quote. Now, Pence, who was whisked away to safety as the rioters stormed the Capitol to try to stop the certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory, said that he witnessed firsthand the dozens of police officers who were assaulted that day and the tragic loss of life that occurred, he says. Carlson asked Pence who specifically he was referring to when he spoke of the loss of life. Now, Pence mentioned Ashley Babbitt, a protester who was shot in the Capitol by the law enforcement and whose death has become a rallying point for Trump and other conservatives. Quote, I think just it was a tragic moment, without question, Pence said. He continues, but I have to tell you, seeing people assaulting law enforcement officers, smashing windows, breaking into Capitol building, it infuriated me. And it's very likely that the restraint that was shown by enforcement officers saved lives that day, closed quote. Now, Pence presided over the certification that day. Trump, who spoke to a crowd about the election being stolen from him ahead of the Capitol invasion, the words they use, had pressed his vice president to overturn the results of the election. Now, Pence said he had no power under the Constitution to do so, a position that has been widely accepted by policymakers in both parties as well as a constitutional scholar. Pence received tepid applause during the appearance with Carlson as he said that, quote, the day of tragedy became a triumph of freedom and that he had done his duty under the Constitution. He received an even more muted response from the crowd as he told Tucker Carlson that Trump's words that day were quote unquote reckless. He says, quote, I believe whatever his intentions in that moment, it endangered me and my family and everyone that was at the Capitol that day. I believe history will hold him accountable for that, close quote. Those who marched on the Capitol that day were heard changing, quote, hang Mike Pence, close quote, because of his perceived disloyalty to Trump. Pence launched his campaign for the 2024 Republican nomination last month by arguing that Trump's behavior on January 6 should be disqualifying for another White House term. Trump spent weeks claiming the 2020 election was stolen before January 6th attack and has been criticized by members of both parties for riling up the crowd that day. Some of Carlson's former colleagues at Fox were among those who on January 6th sought to get Trump to calm down the mob that had overwhelmed the police and entered the Capitol. Trump criticized Pence on Twitter on January 6th for lacking courage and then vice president, and the then vice president was escorted to safety for being escorted to safety. Now, Pence, who has been consistently polling in the single digits nationally since entering the race, well behind Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. But Pence campaign believes his message and personal story will resonate, particularly those with the people in Iowa who align with more of Pence's traditional conservative views and focused on his faith. The Iowa caucus is scheduled for January 15th, 2024. Let me know what you think about that, because the way that I see it, and it is on this podcast that I'm saying it, the way that I see it is that's not the way that I remember it. And not only that, there are still things that have been published, that have been publicized, that don't get a lot of recognition and don't get a lot of conversations, right? About what actually happened. So let's get on to the next story, because we could stay there forever. And I don't want to do that, because we have a lot of news stories that we are going to talk about. Today, we're also looking at the fact that Biden authorizes military use up to 3,000 reserve troops to augment U.S. forces in Europe. The Pentagon has increased troop presence in Europe amid Russia's quote unquote invasion of Ukraine. President Biden on Thursday authorized the Pentagon to tap up to 3,000 reservists for deployment to Europe to augment U.S. troops there to support the Operation Atlantic Resolve. It has a total name. Biden's order authorizes the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security to send active duty units and individual members who are assigned to a unit of the selected reserve or any member of the individual ready reserve. Units deployed are not to exceed more than 3,000 total members at one time, of whom not more than 450 may be members of the individual ready reserve, the order said. The order comes on the heels of the president's 5-day trip to Europe, which wound through UK, Lithuania, and Finland. So that's the pathway of the trip. So it goes on to say that the trip meant to demonstrate the force of the international coalition against Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And Biden appeared confident he had accomplished that mission, proclaiming that he and other NATO leaders showed the military alliance, quote, more united than ever, closed quote. Although Ukraine's demand for an explicit path to NATO membership remain elusive, Biden emphasized that agreements with countries in the alliance would support Kiev's long-term security even without its formal entry. During a meeting with Finnish President Sauli Niinistö early Thursday, Biden insisted that Zelensky, quote, ended up very happy, close quote, despite his expressed frustrations at the lack of a clear timetable for Ukraine to join the alliance. Now, as far as that's concerned, this little actor has been running around a little upset. He's not been very happy by the outcome of what happened there in NATO. According to some of the reports that I read, he, as well as the people there in his country, were already full aware of the fact that they would not be able to gain membership as long as they were dealing with this incident going on right now with Russia. So with that said, I know that a lot of this seems to be, comfortably fabricated. Now, I do want to take a look at another story that's coming out of New York. And it is sort of amazing, because you look at people and you're thinking, well, hey, people who get up and go to work every day, for the most part, aren't really, that far mentally gone. Well, there is the Gilgo Beach serial killing suspect in police custody on Long Island, and he's been ID'd as an architect and a married dad of two. His name is Rex Heuermann. He is a suspected serial killer, and he's been arrested over the notorious Gilgo Beach murders in Long Island, the Post can confirm. Rex Heuermann, 59, a married architect at the New York City firm, was caught after DNA, get this, from a hair of a victim, Megan Waterman, matched that of his taken by investigators from a discarded piece of pizza crust in January. Now, if that's not a coincidence, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But nonetheless, let's continue. The father of two, a former classmate of Hollywood actor Billy Baldwin, was arrested Thursday after cops had staked out his home on First Avenue and Massapequa Park, Long Island, and office in Midtown Manhattan. His arrest is tied to the so-called Gilgo flower women found wrapped in burlap within days of each other in late 2010, and not the other six who were later eyed as possibly being connected, the source said. State and Suffolk County police haven't yet publicly confirmed his identity, but he is due in court on Friday afternoon, which is today, the police said. They also haven't yet revealed how he first came on their radar amid the long running murder probe. Now, Howerman, who is the owner and founder of Midtown architect firm RH Consultants and Associates, which counts Catholic charities. Let's pause for a second. Catholic charities, NYC Department Sewage Treatment, and American Airlines as clients. In an interview posted to YouTube, the YouTube channel Bonjour Reality, Harriman said that he was born and raised on Long Island. Quote, I've been working in Manhattan since 1987. Very long time, he says. Now, it does also state here that he is married and has been married two times, first to a woman by the name of Elizabeth R. Ryan, with whom he wed in New Brunswick, New Jersey in 1990, and it's unclear when they split, but he remarried a woman by the name of Elsa Ellerup, with whom he raised two children, neighbors told the Post on Friday. Now, on Friday morning, Howerman's office building was still swarming with cops. By lunchtime, the FBI had arrived, eyewitnesses told the Post. Investigators were also stationed outside of his home, originally bought by his parents in the 1970s, where they removed a cooler at one point. His car was later seized as evidence and towed from his driveway, pictures showed. He seemed to be a regular neighbor, said Barry, which was a neighbor that lived next to them, not too far. He says, I've never thought that he was anything but a businessman, average guy who had a family and went to work. Now, fears of serial killer emerged when the bodies of Melissa Bartholomew, 24, found along the Ocean Park in December of 2010, with the remains of three other women were found in the following days. The so-called Gilgo Four, Bartholomew, along with Megan Waterman, 22, Amber Lynn Costello, 27, and Maureen Barnes, 25, who were found whole, wrapped in burlap. This is a mess. About 1/10 of a mile apart from each other on the beach. Now, by spring of 2011, the numbers of bodies had climbed to 10, and 8 women, as well as unidentified men with a toddler, and the bodies were found during a search for missing New Jersey-based sex worker Shannon Gilbert, whose body wasn't found until December 2011 after the Gilgo Four. You know what this sounds like to me as I read this story? It does sound like to me like this is a person who has been practicing this type of stuff, and based on some of the clients that he has some pretty long and extensive roots there with a lot of these different companies and a lot of these different organizations, all of which seem to me to be a red flag. So either he ticks somebody off, and this is just again my personal opinion. It's not opinion of the channels, not opinion of any of the folks that are here in the chat. I just think that there are some things here that are ringing bells to me. Now, it does go on to say that a profile of the killer published at the same time by the New York Times was eerily accurate, describing a white male who was between the ages of 20 and 40, who was married, well-educated, and well-spoken. He is financially secure. He has a job and lived near the Ocean Parkway on Long Island. All of them match this gentleman, Howerman. John Ray, the attorney for Gilbert's family, told News 12 that he had a very strong, credible tip that they were about to close on and arrest around a week ago. So apparently a lot of these families got together, or at least this family did, and some folks had some, continued to want to find out what was going on and try to get to the end of the situation, which is a good thing when you have families that have lost a loved one and they're insistent on finding, because a lot of these cases end up very cold if you just leave it up to the police, because, well, they get a lot of stuff that they've got to take care of. But in this case, it was a private investigator who said that, hey, we're getting pretty close. However, he did confirm that he had not heard anything official from investigators, whom he had not heard from since, quote unquote, several months ago. He continues with a quote that says, we're pleased if they actually managed to find somebody that can be tagged for this, said Ray, who also represents the families of the family of Jessica Taylor, 20, another of the dead women not a part of the initial four. He continues with, "We are pleased that something is finally occurring because we've been very frustrated." So there are several photos, and at the end of this, you guys will be able to go and pull up these links so that you can read them yourself. So that's a very good ending to a tragic story. And I just think that it's really sad when you see these kinds of things going on. But I do believe there's a lot more to this guy. I believe that he knows a lot more. And I think that there's a lot of people that know him. And he knows something more than what we're just seeing about it. In order for people to get found like this, there's something that's going on. He must have had very extensive roots there that went a lot of different directions. Now, there's a little bit of a turn here. If you remember a while back under Obama administration, they had given marijuana a specific scheduling. Well, now the states give marijuana data to Biden administration for a rescheduling review because they gave it as, I believe it was what, a narcotic, a very high level narcotic under the Obama administration. Well, at least 5 states with medical marijuana programs have shared key data, including the products patients are using and how they are affected, with the U.S. health regulators as a part of the Biden administration review of whether to remove marijuana from the federal government's list of the most dangerous drugs. The state data sent to the United States Food and Drug Administration and the Department of Health and Human Services offered federal researchers a wider and deeper look into marijuana use and its medical potential that most peer reviewed studies available to researchers. Now, in sharing the data, officials hope to influence the ongoing federal review of cannabis, the status under the Controlled Substance Act, which still serves as an immovable barrier to long awaited federal marijuana reform, including the interstate commerce and tax relief. Now, President Joe Biden ordered the review last fall. The process ultimately could lead to lower federal taxes for cannabis companies and better access to traditional financial services, as well as legal interstate commerce and possibly federal marijuana legalization. Although the final outcome is far from clear, so far, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, and Utah have shared information with the federal health regulators about marijuana use that was gleaned from their state programs. Now, officials from those markets can confirm this. Quote, "This is going to be some of the most important data considered," predicted Johan Markau, a published researcher who earned a PhD examining the endocannabinoid system and is serving as a scientific advisor to the Coalition for Cannabis Scheduling Reform, the CCSR. Now, the CCSR is a collection of major multi state operators seeking to encourage rescheduling or descheduling marijuana. States shared the insight into marijuana use and MJ products at the encouragement of the Cannabis Regulators Association, an organization comprised of government officials overseeing state programs. The revelation that states are participating in the administrative rescheduling review offers a rare peek into that process, which federal health officials have kept a near secret so far, observers in Congress and on Capitol Hill said. Asked previously what studies or data officials are weighing, spokespeople for the federal health agencies have declined to elaborate. Separately, a spokesperson from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration did not respond to a MJBiz daily request for comment this past week. Quote, "So much money has been put into the understanding the risks of illicit cannabis," Markau said. Now, comparison, there's been very little research into legal commercial marijuana. Here's another quote. "With state level data, you're talking about what products people are using, any health effects. That information is so important," he added. "In some ways, that's what big pharma does," close quote. Now, the surveys say this, quote, We said a subset of our data minus any identifying information with the FDA. David Rack, the research manager at the Minnesota Department of Public Health's Office of Medical Cannabis, said. And he continues with, we collect data from our patients every time they go to make a purchase at a dispensary or the self patient evaluation, and offer an optional survey to fixed intervals. And this is a patient experience survey. So basically, what they're saying is when they go in and they make these purchases, they're keeping up with how they feel, what was going on, had it worked, did it not, because they're continuously collecting the data. Now, the quote goes on to say, so we have a fair amount of data to analyze. Minnesota's data also includes reports of adverse events, such as a prescription drug interaction. Quote, in general, we've had very few adverse events reported, Rock said. Now, according to Rock, the FDA has yet to respond to the state that shared the information. Massachusetts officials submitted data for and information to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration as a part of its review of cannabis scheduling status, including conditions approved for medical cannabis use, cannabinoid profiles of the medical use products, and frequency and quantity of medical patient purchases from the medical use market. A spokesperson from the State Cannabis Control Commission told the news outlet. He continues with, we look forward to continuing our work with our partners at the state and federal level to encourage additional research and data sharing and ultimately impact nationwide policy. In an ongoing paradox that Congress has yet to untangle, however, current federal drug laws thwart and discourage research into cannabis. The marijuana research bill that President Biden signed into law last fall, drafted by one of the country's most prominent anti legalization organizations, has not yielded new research protocols nor new sources of research grade cannabis. Now, the critics have told the media outlet that the research bill is failing by design. Meanwhile, federal officials have repeatedly said more research is necessary before marijuana prohibition can be weakened or undone. The little marijuana research that goes on in the United States typically examines cannabis grown by U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's approval suppliers. So there are a set of individuals that are approved to supply this. Now, experts agree this supply does not bear much resemblance to the marijuana available in state legal medical dispensaries. When determining a drug's appropriate classification under the CSA, the FDA employs what's called an 8-factor analysis. The 8 factors are considered are as follows: the drug's actual or relative potential for abuse, scientific evidence of the drug's pharmacological effect, if known, the state of current scientific knowledge regarding the drug or substance, its history and current pattern of abuse, the scope, duration, and significance of abuse, what, if any, risk there is to the public health. The next one is its psychiatric or physiological dependency liability, and whether the substance is an immediate precursor of substance already controlled. Now, those are the actual 8 factors that they utilize to consider. Now, in another demonstration of how marijuana's legal status stymies research that could change that status, there are limited number of peer-reviewed academic studies that the FDA would traditionally rely on for the 8-factor analysis process, said Gillian Schroer, the executive director of the Cannabis Regulators Association. Now, here's a quote. A number of state medical cannabis programs have rich data sources around patient use of cannabis, clinical recommendations for medical cannabis, adverse events or lack thereof, and more, she said via email. Quote, these data are these, it doesn't say this, it says these data are typically not collected for academic or research purposes, but rather for consumer safety program improvement and regulatory reasons, close quote. Now, those states that haven't yet shared their data are encouraged to do so, she says. She continues with, It is imperative that these datas shared with the FDA so they can conduct the 8-factor analysis with not only the academia, but from what is happening in practice on the ground in states and territories. In announcing his administration's rescheduling last October, Biden noted in a statement that federal law currently classifies marijuana as a Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act, the classification meant for the most dangerous of substances. Quote, this is the same schedule as for heroin, LSD, and even higher than the classification fentanyl and methamphetamine drugs that are driving our overdose epidemic. For most lay people, as well as Biden and many lawmakers and officials, they have decried the conflict between the state and federal MJ laws, as well as the Nixon era declaration that marijuana is more dangerous than heroin. The idea that cannabis should be reclassified from a Schedule 1 is obvious. Now, it was he and his former boss that went along with this here. Anyway, Schedule 1 is the category reserved for drugs with high potential abuse and no medical value. Less obvious is how far the federal health officials will go into their recommendations, which is due to the DEA by the end of the year, and whether law enforcement officials will take heed. Here's a quote. What nobody can really say about the scientists at the FDA and the HHS are going to look at and what will be persuasive, said Andrew Friedman, a senior vice president at influential Washington, D.C. based law and lobbying firm Forbes Tate, and the executive director of Coalition for Cannabis Policy, Education, and Regulation. He goes on to say, is how persuasive they will find anecdotes at the state level, I think will be harder to determine, Friedman added. Now, he also states that the other thing is that it's going to confuse this, and now what's going to confuse is the analysis is what cannabis are we talking about? Are we talking about someone who uses shatter 3 times a day, or someone who smokes half a joint with a friend on a Friday night? Those are two different versions of risk. Cannabis is not one thing, even though it's scheduled as one thing, he says. Now, most experts agree that health officials are unlikely to remove the marijuana from the Controlled Substance Act altogether. That might satisfy some major cannabis companies, as the notorious Section 280E of the federal tax code, which bars marijuana operators from taking basic deductions for business expenses. And it does not apply to drug classified Schedule 3 or lower. But it won't satisfy advocates or many regulators whose state frameworks aren't set up for drugs controlled at that level, which are typically sold in pharmacies. Now, Harrison, who's an attorney, says, quote, this data is going to be used to support some of the showing that is a medical benefit. Now, this is from a Los Angeles-based attorney. His name is Harris Bricken. He's from Griffin Thorne. And he also says that everybody knows that there is a medical benefit, at least for pain, if nothing else. And this will convince federal regulators. He doesn't think so. But it's hard to deduce what the federal government is going to do, Thorne noted. Now, it is also fair to note that in, I believe it was 1960, I want to say 1965. I can't remember the exact year, 65 or 67. I know that the federal government did take a portion of it, edited, altered the cannabis, and altered it to make it their own. And then they had I'm not going to say a copyright, but you guys in the audience, in the chat, you know what I'm talking about. They actually got a patent on it. That's what it was, a patent. They did get a patent. And you and I know that if they get a patent on something, that they're able to make it their own. So I think that there are a lot of things that's happening right now as it relates to this. But I want to say something, that the people in California, for example, have been so anesthetized by the marijuana that they're purchasing. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what they're putting on it. And I'm not saying that they are or are not. That's not what I'm saying here. What I am saying is that you have to be careful with anything that has anybody else's hands in it that's like this, because in order for them to be able to sell it and to call it their own or to give it a name, it has to be able to be edited. It must be able to be edited. So, what do you know about what it is you're putting in your body? These are the questions that we ask every time we buy an apple from the store or get a watermelon and has no seeds and we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off looking for something that does have it. You have to ask these questions. You have to ask these questions. Now we're going to go on to another story, and this is Hunter Biden's attorney. Now, Hunter Biden's attorney, his lawyer, did send a cease and desist letter to Trump over social media posts, claiming the first son could be hurt one message away. Now, an attorney for an embattled first son, Hunter Biden, sent a cease and desist letter to former President Donald Trump's legal team claiming Trump's post on social media could lead someone to injure the first son or his family, according to a report. Now, one of Hunter Biden's lawyers, Abe Lowell, cited Trump's tweets leading up to the deadly January 6th Capitol riots. Boy, they're wearing this thing out like a old horse. So much to say, but I won't. Let's continue. In 2021 as evidence of the 45th president's inspiring violence, according to a letter obtained by ABC News. Now, the attorney additionally noted the hammer attack on former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's husband, at their home in October, and last month's arrest of a man found with a slew of weapons and ammunition near former President Barack Obama's D.C. home. Quote, "This is not a false alarm," Lowell wrote. "We are just one social media message away from another incident. And you should make clear to Mr. Trump that if you have not done so already, that Mr. Trump's words have caused harm in the past and threaten to do so again if he does not stop." Closed quote. Now, Lowell also blasted Trump for suggesting that the cocaine found in the White House. Lowell also. I cannot say this with a straight face because somebody told on somebody. Somebody knew that somebody had that powder, and somebody knew that they wouldn't share it with them. So somebody said, "Hey, look what I found. Look, go get it." Let me get back to the story, y'all. I'm sorry. I tried to be good today. I tried. Okay, let me try it again. I promise this time, you guys, I'm not gonna crack no jokes, but I just couldn't help it. They gonna talk about the we don't know where that stuff came from. We don't know where that white powder came from. Whose powder is this, baby? Okay, anyway, I tried, you guys. I tried, Charlie. I really did. Oh, my Lord, these people, we don't know where it came from. But all we know is somebody was getting high. You sit here and talk about you cannot schedule Mary Jane. Mary Jane! You can't schedule Mary Jane as a regular thing. You could just put in a cup of tea and sip it like you're supposed to. You can't do that. It's got to be up there with the narcotics. But now y'all finding this stuff in the White House. Lord have mercy. Let me stop cutting up and go ahead on. Woo, these people. What happened? What's that? What did you find in there? What is in that plastic baggie you got? What's in it? I don't know. It looked like somebody put some confectioner sugar in here. That ain't no sugar. Let me see that. Put your nose in there. Smell that bag. What's in that bag? I don't know. I don't know what's in the bag now. I don't know. You made me sniff the confectioner sugar, and now I don't know what's in the bag. We better go get Secret Service. Go get them. Go get them quick. Man, why are you talking so fast? I don't know. Just go get somebody quick. I found this on Hunter Biden's office. I found it in his bedroom. I found it out in the shoebox. Come, somebody, come help me. Save me. Like that man that was on the phone that day talking about, man, my wife has been eating some brownies, and I think we're dead. Whoo! Lord have mercy. Okay, let me go ahead on. I don't want to mess it up, y'all. Let me go ahead on and read it right. I'm sorry. Let me start again. I apologize. Compose yourself, Felicia. You're a professional, for God's sake. Sips coffee slowly. Sips coffee slow. Let's get it. An attorney for embattled first son, Hunter Biden, sent a cease and desist letter to former President Donald Trump's legal team, claiming Trump's posts on social media could lead someone to injure the first son or his family, according to a report. Hunter Biden's lawyer, Abe Lowell, cited Trump's tweets leading up to the deadly January 6th Capitol Hill riots in 2021 as evidence of the 45th president's inspiring violence, according to a letter obtained by ABC. The attorney additionally noted the hammer attack on former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's husband at their home in October and last month's arrest of a man found with a slew of weapons and ammunition near former President Barack Obama's D.C. home. Quote, "This is not a false alarm," Lowell wrote. "We are just one social message away from another incident, and you should make clear to Mr. Trump, if you have not already done so, that Mr. Trump's words have caused harm in the past and threaten to do so again if he is not stopped." Lowell also blasted Trump for suggesting that the cocaine found in the West Wing of the White House may belong to Hunter Biden, a recovering drug addict who has gone public with his tales of crack cocaine and abuse. Okay. I'm sorry, but they left the door open and I'm about to walk in it. So wait a minute, let me get this right. Somebody found your laptop, baby, had all your information on it, and you want everybody to believe that you released the information because you wanted everybody to understand that now you're recovering. How are you recovering, big baby? Because you ain't got no money left from all of the stuff that you've been doing, because it's been going up your nose and it's been going in the pipe. And you know, I'm gonna tell you something. Your daddy should have had you arrested a long time ago, because Pookie them, Ray Ray them, Tom and Bob and all of them been in, they still in jail. But you want us to believe that you are recovering and you have released information and you've gone public. A recovering addict who's gone public with his tales of crack cocaine. No, that would be the vloggers that went public with his tales, showing his tail and everything else. The first tail, the first son's tail. That's what we're talking about. So don't be coming to us with all of this stuff. So basically what's happening, because I know I ain't gonna be able to read this story like I'm supposed to. Basically, because that Gemini, Mr. Trump, Mr. Naranga, is hilarious in his tweets and be right on point. I may not like that man on a personal level, and I will never, ever, 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 ever vote for nobody else again. But baby, let me tell you something. That third Gemini is hilarious. That man is hilarious. He said that the stuff that was in that office may have belonged to Hunter Biden. Quote, "I bet they already know who the cocaine belongs to," Trump says. "But just in case, it could be done in 5 minutes. It is Crooked Joe and his wonderful son. Is it them? Is it Crooked Joe and his wonderful son, Hunter? Release the findings, release the tapes," Trump says. "We can't have a crackhead in charge of our nuclear arsenal." Ah! Trump ain't got no sense, Lord of mercy. Trump posted on Truth Social on Monday. Now, the Secret Service concluded its 11-day investigation into the narcotics that were found in the White House. Find without identifying. So they found it without identifying any White House staffers or visitors who it may have belonged to. The fruitless probe outraged congressional leaders, who was probably in there partaking into, man, why didn't y'all pick that up? I didn't know we left it. Anyway, fruitless probe outraged congressional leaders who were incredulous that authorities could not find the culprit in one of the most secure buildings in the world. Well, it's the same thing with the leaking of the documents a couple of years ago, a year before last, or whenever that was, when we all got together and said, they're going to leak this because they're going to make sure that it goes away, that Roe v. Wade goes away. Now all of a sudden, close the case. Ain't nobody here. Ain't nobody do it. Yeah, because y'all the dog, you did it. Here's another quote. You know, If Mr. Trump does not, if he does not stop that Mr. Biden has neither connect, wait a minute, what is this? You know, if Mr. Trump does not, that Mr. Biden has neither committed nor been accused of the charges that your client is claiming, and that the Biden family was not at the White House, let alone in the vestibule, and the period when the cocaine was found, Lowell wrote. He also added in the letter that Trump's team need not respond, but requested that they pass the message on to Trump and tell him, quote, how his indictment can further hurt people and cause himself more legal trouble. This to me sounds like somebody trying to rub out their issue, and before they do it, they want to throw somebody under the bus and say, could have been him. He may have did it. It was him. He's the one that did it. It was him. Something happened. He's walking across the street. Okay. All right. You see? You see what I'm saying? I remember back in the day when they would send a whole battle round down the streets of Los Angeles with what looked like a big old metal thing attached to the front of it, just tearing front doors down, going in there getting Pookie and Ray Ray now. I remember. Anyway, let's get on with it. We got some more here going here. We got some more stories. I'm sorry, you guys. I tried to keep a straight face. Y'all. You know I did. I tried my hardest, baby, to keep a straight face. I tried to keep professional. You know, I tried to give you guys something good that you could use. But I'm going to tell you something. They left the door wide open for that. You literally sent a letter to this cat. You literally took time out of your day. You took stationery. You took an AI bot. You took a secretary. You took some type of help to write that. And then you had the audacity to send that. Listen, these folks don't do nothing for nothing. I'm going to need you to write a letter because I'm tired of his little behind. You hear me? I'm tired of this dude. Every time I turn around, he's coming up in the news. And I know he's my son, but I'm tired. You better do something with this dude quick because I'm going to do something myself. Hey, I know what. Let's write a letter. Let's get it out there that we need him to stop because he can hurt somebody. His words can hurt someone. And we're going to give you all of the instances of where the words could have hurt somebody that did hurt. Somebody got hit in the head with a hammer. Now, first off, let's look at the head and the hammer hit. The head and the hammer situation. Dude, what was that dude doing at your house with your old rump that hour of the night? You both stand in the middle of your living room with no forced entry look. Nothing, no forced entry. He just in the house. Talking about I'm a friend. And he wasn't lying. He was a friend. Yeah, while your wife was out of town. All I know is Tarzan used to swing from trees too, baby. Nonetheless, let me keep going. That's all I know. You're giving us all of these incidents with people that you already know is up to no doggone good. These folks is having a field day right now in office. Now I want to read another marijuana story because there are some stories here that are telling us some things. But here's what I want to say about this marijuana. This is what I want to say about all the marijuana altogether. All these stories that we're talking about right now that are coming out of the news, not out of my mouth, not out of my company, not out of my chat. This is a news article. Have you ever noticed how whenever you're watching TV late at night, especially for those of us who are over 50 years old, who end up watching television over late at night, they always want to give us all of these commercials. Love you too, Justine. All of these commercials that are for that new creak you heard in your kneecap on your 49th birthday going into your 50th year of life, 50th anniversary here on the planet. They always want to tell you, hey, if you got this scratchy patchiness, it's not from something that fell out the sky that we did, but it's something going on inside of your body where your body is fighting yourself. So you can use this drug. Or if you got this, if you got cryptochronic, you can use this drug. All of the stuff that they make always seems to have a long list. And we've chatted about this here on the channel before. Always seems to have a long list of things that can happen if you decide to take this stuff. You might be sleepy. You might be dizzy. Don't operate a car. Don't walk down the street. You might fall off the curb. All of that kind of stuff, right? Don't do, because this can happen to you. Have you ever noticed that? So now what they're going to tell you is that smoking marijuana can cause neuropathy. Smoking marijuana. So that means that the marijuana that you're using ain't Yah's marijuana. It didn't come here like the blades of grass. It did not come here like the sand, the little grains of sand. It didn't come here like the sun and the moon and the stars and the sky. It ain't natural. Didn't come here like the water that's separated from the waters. It ain't natural. Why? Well, let's just say this. If it is the natural marijuana, then maybe it's because people are smoking it as opposed to putting it in a tea and drinking it for health reasons. Maybe that's it. But the new study says that marijuana users are 3 times more likely to develop peripheral arterial disease, artery disease. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we just read a story that says that they're gathering information? Let's do a quick dot connection. They just gave us a story that said that they are taking information and they're putting it together to find out how people are working. And they said that there were 8 points that told them whether or not this particular method was working and that what was going on with it and that they would have adverse reactions and who had an adverse reaction to something. Huh? You know what they just said? So now this information that's coming out is letting us know that this study is based on the marijuana. Now we can just do basic deduction. We don't need to, we don't have to be splitting atoms or anything. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You can just do the basic deduction. We just read something that said they were doing studies, and now we have a new study. Marijuana users are 3 times more likely to develop peripheral artery disease. The research emphasizes the significance on timely and regular screening for individuals who use marijuana. A study recently presented at the Society of Cardiovascular Angiography and Interventions 2023 scientific sessions highlighted the connection between marijuana use and peripheral artery disease. The study results suggest that marijuana users are significantly, more likely to develop PAD compared to those in the broader population. With nearly 50 million individuals reportedly using marijuana at least once, according to the CDC, its usage has seen a rise in recent years. While many studies have looked at the impact of marijuana use on the health, little research has been done to study the effects of marijuana on the vascular system. PAD, a condition in which narrowing arteries reduce blood flow into the arms or legs, impacts 6.5 million people here in the United States alone. And it can lead to a loss of mobility, reduced quality of life, heart attack, stroke, and death if not treated early. Now, researchers use de-identified patient data from the National Inpatient Samples, or the NIS, from 2016 to 2019, who reported marijuana use and a diagnosis of PAD. Patients were further stratified based on any of their percutaneous lower extremity vascular intervention. The data was analyzed by the SSP software in a binary logistics regression model. Do you see how much stuff this is right here? Basically, what they're saying is that they had their findings show that you're going to have an issue if you mess with their marijuana. That's basically what this is saying. That's basically what they're saying. I mean, there's never really not even more to read, okay? Because the way that they're breaking it all down is giving you all the statistics. There was of 30 million patients identified, 623,768 were diagnosed as marijuana users, diagnosed. Now, patients on an average of 37.4 years, equal distribution, that was the age, okay? Equal distribution across genders, were more likely to be white. See, now they always got to have something to come after the white man, the white woman, and then they got a set of stuff that come after the black folks, right? Because you can get, old English, man, dog 2020. You know what I'm saying? You get those are the problems that hit the black neighborhoods. But this, they're saying, they're finding it to be more white folks than black folks. Don't you love the way they just divide us? Now look here, everybody. It don't matter whether you black, purple, yellow, or green. You're gonna use. If you're using marijuana. The deal is that these are the individuals who've actually signed up for the study by way of going to the clinics. Unless you're in California, there's a lot of folks in California are just heading to the clinics, right? But there's a lot of people who are still using this stuff that they buy from Pookie and Ray Ray now, right? So those are the individuals where they're gleaning the information. So y'all, please don't for a minute think that it's just white folks. No, it's not. Because people around the United States are using it. They're just not all going into your This is amazing too, because once you think of it, it's like they're just doing a case study, 5, 10, 15 year long case study. If you got this kind of marijuana in this state, this is what's happening to these people. Why? Because this is what they signed up for. If you have any problem that you have after this, and this, would you please do this survey every now and again? All right. And so the people that they're purchasing, that are purchasing this stuff, they're the ones that's going in there doing the excuse me, doing the actual surveys. That doesn't mean this is a white issue. Because everybody that's doing it is doing it, period, no matter what color they are. Right? Yeah. So these are some of the issues that they're having. Now, there are a couple of other stories that I wanted to talk to you guys about today because I wanted to get your take on it. And I'm going to pull those stories up. I want to hear what you had to say about it. There are some, and this is really weird because yesterday I was on a Spaces. Is that what it's called on Twitter? I was on a call with Willing Witness, and there was a gentleman that was on there that was from a who used to work for Lyft. And he said that once he started to see some really weird stuff going on, he started to report it as per the company's rules and regulations as it relates to people, in trafficking. He also made mention of the fact that once he started to complain about it, he ended up getting himself in trouble, and they later fired him because he was complaining and telling on the situation that he saw. And I don't really remember exactly how he said he saw it, but he did say that there were women that were, apparently fearful. And, he gave somebody a police card that he had seen somebody, a woman that had been there. And he gave her a card for the police because once he had claimed to the police that this is some stuff that was going on, they gave him a business card and said, "Oh, gee, we didn't know about that. But now that you're telling us this, thank you. If you have any other problems, here's a business card." So he gave the business card to a woman. When he gave that business card to the lady, she apparently, somehow, somebody got back to him and said, "Okay, well, we're going to let you go. We're firing you because you have some unsafe practices." And the unsafe practice was this brother was continuously letting them know that there was some illegal activity going on while he was dealing with Lyft. Now, the story that I want to tell you about today is the age requirement. Let me put this in because I have the story. delivering Uber. Not delivering Uber, for delivering what is the name of that stuff? DoorDash. Now that to me seems to be a bit dangerous. But we're going to go on ahead and see if we can find it. Here it goes. Now, they said that they were like 14 years old. There were some 14-year-old people. How old do you have to be is 18. But the story that I had that's now disappeared, that's no longer here. She's Pete's. Shishana. It's gone. I had a story here that was going to tell us about these age requirements. And then look at my history. Because when I saw that, I thought, gee whiz, everybody might be interested in this. This is pretty interesting. It doesn't look like, you know what I don't like? I don't like this browser all the time. Anyway, I'm on the other side. The lawyer, Mint. Oh, there's a Mint recall. You guys who are in Canada, look out for the Mint. Don't buy any whole mint, because if you do buy some whole mint, there's a chance that it could have E. coli on it. That's the actual bush itself. All right, I found the story. It says, how old do you gotta be to DoorDash? 14-year-old DoorDasher delivers Starbucks order with more than 44 drinks. He only made $61. Now, why am I talking about this in conjunction with the story that I heard from the gentleman on Spaces with Willing Witness yesterday? Because the danger is so heightened when you have a 14-year-old going to somebody's door. And I don't even understand why they're making the point about the $61 as opposed to a 14-year-old DoorDasher delivering Starbucks door to door. You going to somebody's house. I don't think that's safe. Nonetheless, this story comes from the Daily Dot. It says, quote, in a viral video that has amassed over 5.2 million views, a DoorDasher shows viewers what it's like to be responsible for a large order. Excuse me. In the clip, TikTok user, the Delivery Food Kid at the Delivery Food Kid, arrives at a local Starbucks to pick up a customer's order and is surprised to discover that the order has a ton of items in it. I'm not sure if I can show you guys this. Let me go on ahead and get this for you on this side. I'm gonna let you guys see it, and we'll make our determination after that. Okay, let's see. Can we see this? There you go. All right. Okay, let's see if we can hear it. Can I make it bigger? Let's check. And let's. How do you close this thing? Ugh. Ugh. All right, let's just go. Let's just see what it says.
Hey guys, let's go and get some more drinks.
Can you hear it on that side, folks? Let me know. My 5x5 mark.
The ones that I just put in the car, it makes it a total of 24 drinks. Listen.
The rest of the smaller box.
Okay. Sorry. No, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. Thank you. That's all, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Now,
It looks like maybe his mama or daddy is
drop
taking
off
him, you guys.
the 44 drinks. Okay,
Thank
guys,
you,
so
Big
we're gonna
Jesse.
take
Hey, thank you, Marty.
the bags here. I got an order for Karina. She had ordered 44 drinks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna be bringing the other bag. Okay. Now this. Now this.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's his mom
I'll
and
bring.
daddy
I'll
with
bring
him,
the rest
y'all.
right now. I'll bring the rest right now. Let's take 2 more bags.
You can leave it right here.
Mhm.
Was that it or was there more?
That's it.
That's it? Okay.
Okay. Now I need the pin.
Ooh. That is a good one because the girl who ordered it, I don't think she's here.
798.
Okay.
Hello, bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice day. Okay, guys. So we just put the pin here for the order. Now let's go. I'll update you guys in the next order. Guys, remember that order, the Starbucks one that had 44 drinks? The one that was $12 for 1 mile? It came out to be $61. Like, thank you. Like, that put us up to 180 in 5 hours.
Bless his heart is all I can say. And I am glad to see that mama or daddy is driving him around and teaching him the importance of working. I am so glad that when I go, because you know what, you guys, I don't read a lot of the stories that we get before you and I sit down together. I read them fresh with you for the first time, for the majority of the time, right? And so for me, I'm sort of glad to see that it was not like what was going on Derek's channel yesterday online. But what I will tell you is this. Don't you notice how cute that was? The fella was out there actually doing something for work and mama was letting him do it or daddy was driving him around. I think that is so awesome to see young children doing stuff like that. I really do. So it is that ended up being a good story. I'm so happy that it wasn't, oh, he's driving around or he's peddling his wares on a bicycle. Come here, little boy. Come in, come here, there. Let me give you a little tip. I'm so glad it wasn't anything like that. Woo! So happy. So that was a good way to end our live broadcast today. We have, if you guys notice, if you have not already done so, please, please, please hit the like button. We need to get as many, we're going up to 150,000 subs for this channel. We need 40 some odd thousand subs to hit it. And I know that you guys can help us by sharing what you guys see, hitting that like button, bringing more people in through the algorithm. That's what I need you to do. And then also, if you've not already watched this morning's upload, please go watch it. We had to change that. That was originally up yesterday, but it was very dark and ominous. And because it was very dark and ominous, it did not make it. It just got like 100 views. So we redid it today. Please, if you haven't already done so, go watch that. Check it out. Let me know what you think. All the comments are open. And all of the old videos from Bettina are available. We will be going through those today, opening up the comments. So please do not hesitate to go back over to some of the old videos. I see a lot of people leaving, so I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can. Please don't hesitate to go to some of the old videos, look them up, like them if you like them. And you can make comments on them because starting today, we're going to be opening up all of the comments on all of the old videos. And there are some very powerful stuff in there. So please do not hesitate to do that. I want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us today for Breaking News on Friday. And I will see you all tomorrow. Now, look here. I want to tell you guys something that we always say on each and every one of our Felicia Lockhart podcast or in the videos or something like that, all that good stuff. And that is, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and remember to take care of yourself first. And I want you to do me a big, big favor, because all of y'all know I love you. I see all my honey bunches in here. I don't care what nobody say. If my honey bunches are in here, I'm going to say hi to y'all right now. Charlie, hey. Marty, hey. Anarchy Television, what's going on? Joy Trujillo, hey. Rage Against the Machine, how you doing? Justine DeVoe and Black Spring with Autumn, hello. I got to do this. I got to do it. I got to get my little mirror. And I see Betty and I see Bob. Okay, Anna in the not Z. Hey, how's it going, Anna? How's it going with you? Let's see, who else do we have in here that I haven't said hey to yet? High Plains Drifter, how you doing? Who else we got in here? We got my Crypto Pie William. How you doing? I gotta say hi to y'all. This Friday. We gotta love each other. Okay, let's see. I know people are gonna be pulling out, but that's good. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. Let's see who else. Do I missing anybody else? Oh, Iowa Free Thinker. Hey, Valiant Thor. How you doing? It's good to see you. Okay, let's see who else we got. I think that's about it. I don't see anybody else. Leaf Desi. Hey, Tinkerman. What's good? As I scroll down, I don't see nobody else that I haven't said hey to already. Rage, I know you know I love you. Oh, 3 dots. How you doing? Okay, that's everybody that is making any comments in the comments. And if you're just watching, and I know you're probably driving, working, out doing some gardening or doing something for the family, you can't say anything. Deb, hey, how you doing, Deb? Okay, if you're doing something you couldn't get a hello, know that I love you and I appreciate you. You guys, make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that if you're watching this in the replay, that you hit that like button. And make sure that if you have not already subscribed, please do. We'd love to have you. And if you are subscribed, but you have not been getting any of your notifications and you just found us today by accident, please make sure that you are still subscribed. Please make sure that you have got that bell notification clicked so that every time we go live, you'll be the first one to get the notification. All right, you guys, take care. Love you all. And remember what we always say, take care of my friend, and that's you. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.